he is, God, he has got so much damn potential.
He definitely does.
He's got so much potential.
But he comes back from every fight that he's had better, you know? I mean, when
Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson sit down to break down the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Tyson makes it clear Joshua must stay disciplined with his punches because Jake is nowhere near his level. Joe Rogan calls Anthony Joshua one of the most intimidating men in boxing today. He reminds everyone that Jake has only fought retired or older fighters in exhibition bouts, and stepping into the ring with someone as powerful and dangerous as Joshua is a whole different world. The host of the Wade Concept explains an interesting angle. For Jake Paul, taking a knockout from one clean punch by Anthony Joshua might actually be safer than going through 8 rounds of heavy punishment. He says that repeated hits over time can lead to serious, long-lasting injuries outside the ring. Even though Joshua
had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him. It was spectacular. Andy Ruiz is super fucking talented. Usyk
will be using 10-ounce gloves, which are smaller and offer less padding. One solid knockout ends the fight quickly, reducing long-term damage. The host stresses that while the lighter gloves make the fight more exciting and dramatic for the audience and media, they also increase the risk for Jake Paul. Joshua's power is legendary, and less padding means every punch can cause real damage. Technical changes cannot hide the massive gap in skill, strength, and experience between these two fighters. Nakisa Badarian reveals why Anthony Joshua was chosen as Jake Paul's opponent. Since the fight is being filmed for Netflix, they needed
Jake in this scenario, and that's that he gets viciously knocked out. Or he gets beat up really bad for 8 rounds and then viciously knocked out. I saw Nakisa talking on Ariel Helwani's show today about this, about like how it's not necessarily something they're worried about that Jake gets knocked out, because he's not afraid of the one-punch knockout as much as he's afraid of like Jake getting beat up for 8 rounds badly and it, you know, causing some real cognitive damage. And there is science behind the fact that the more repeated head trauma is the more dangerous thing about pro boxing, because those gloves, you can get hit, you get 8 to 10 seconds to stand, and you can repeat it 2-3 times in the same fight, just absorbing punch after punch. So in the totality of Jake getting like knocked out cold, is that the worst thing possible for his health? I mean, who knows, dude? You could have a freaking brain aneurysm when you get hit off one shot from a guy like AJ. Again, knock on wood, you don't want to see any of that happen. If his career ends because AJ hurts him badly, then yes. But if it's a knockout where Jake is able to then continue fighting, people will still watch. It may not be as big as the AJ fight, but he still has an opportunity to make money in boxing. Again, the only way it wouldn't be the case is if Jake got like permanently injured from this fight, which is part of the reason that they take this fight, is because Jake doesn't really have anything to lose here, outside of, again, the bodily harm. You know, you fight a guy like Tommy Fury again, which I want to see, I think is more competitive, but doesn't bring the eyes that AJ does. So again, this is the entertainment business, and these Netflix fights are made for a massive audience. But you lose to Tommy Fury again, even by decision, that deflates Jake more than a knockout from Anthony Joshua. A loss to KSI deflates Jake more than a loss to Anthony Joshua. This is a perfect, even if Jake would have gotten just schooled by Gervonta Davis, it would have deflated him more than a knockout, I think. Yeah, it's a lot of risk, a lot of reward, but as far as your market...
A matchup that looked cinematic, dramatic, and unforgettable. They needed a fighter with star power, reputation, and global appeal. Anthony Joshua checks every box. He's a world champion, recognized around the globe, and his presence instantly raises the stakes. Nakisa explains that Joshua brings a story, a legacy, and a level of respect that makes the fight incredibly marketable. Not just a sporting event, but a blockbuster spectacle.
The biggest, baddest names possible. That included Terrence Crawford, that included Ryan Garcia, that included Tommy Fury, that included Anthony Joshua. And we probably had, I don't know, 30 or 40 names that we kind of reviewed. And I will say at least 12 or 13 names that agreed to do the fight. some within the 2-week period, actually. But from a Netflix perspective, they were very keen on Joshua. They were interested on Crawford. They were interested in Ryan Garcia as potential opponents for Jake Paul. They were interested in Tommy Fury at some level as well. And the one that Jake gravitated towards was Anthony Joshua. Once it became clear Ryan couldn't do the fight as well, Ryan was also something that he was interested in doing. And the deal came together mostly because Jake mentioned this as of March of this year, right? That's the first time he was on a podcast and said, I think I can beat Anthony Joshua. Everyone laughed. At the time, Eddie Hearn said this is another, media attention-seeking moment for Jake Paul. I made it clear then to Eddie and to the media, Jake was serious and we wanted to do it in 2026. We had further conversations with Matchroom in July of this year with the understanding that if Jake got through Tank Davis, and even though that was an exhibition, it was very much structured to be a real fight in every way, shape, and form, then we would look to make Jake versus Joshua in 2026. So that gave us a head start in terms of trying to come to an agreement with Matchroom and AJ, and we were able to get it done.
I just want to ask about a couple of those names that you mentioned. Garcia's interesting because a day or so later, Oscar De La Hoya said, he's a DAZN fighter, this ain't happening.
Ryan Garcia shares his thoughts on what this fight could mean for Jake Paul. He warns that Joshua's power is no joke. A loss here wouldn't just hurt physically. It could change Jake's entire career, reputation, and future in the sport. Garcia believes this fight could be life-changing. He says Jake must prepare like never before, both mentally and physically, because Joshua isn't just a challenge. He's a test of survival. Frank Martin doesn't hold back. He says yes, this fight brings huge financial rewards. But money doesn't protect Jake from the reality inside the ring. This isn't a flashy exhibition, and it isn't just another publicity stunt. Jake Paul is going up against a true elite-level fighter, someone who has spent years at the top of the sport.
I'm stuck in between, because nobody on this green earth would actually turn down 50, 60 million to fight Jake Paul. And people that don't like this will probably watch it because they want to see Jake Paul getting knocked out. So what's it say about AJ and what's it say about Jake Paul? I think I was thinking upside down. For AJ, I thought, Mama's cashing out. He's cashing out because he's going down this mimic line. But I thought, in reality, is he? Realistically, he's thinking, you know what? This big mouth YouTuber stroke boxer has the cheek to call me out. I'd be pissed off at that, if I'm honest with you. I'd be upset if I was AJ, thinking, that's disrespect, man. You think you can deal with me? But he didn't. AJ was jovial and he commended Jake Paul's business acumen, saying, we've sat down, the deal's been done. But still, it just leaves an odd taste in your mouth. So as long as AJ gets the job done, and I mean gets the job done, shows his world-class pedigree, and wipes this boy out, then everybody's happy. But how does it enhance his career? The only way it enhances his career is financially. That's it. No other way. There's no props from beating Jake Paul, apart from saying, thank God you shut him up. For Jake Paul now, I got to give this boy props, because he now has our attention and the whole world is talking about Jake Paul. I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Bet Goodwin, for supporting That Boxing Show. Now, if you're interested in having a little flutter, or as I call it after my dad,
says hype and fame can't save Jake once the bell rings. Experience, power, and skill will decide everything. Johnny Nelson adds another strong warning. He says this fight could be the last time we see Jake Paul in the ring, especially if he gets knocked out. Jake has become a financial magnet, attracting big names like Joshua with huge payouts. But Nelson points out that after this fight, everything could change. People are already talking, spreading theories that Jake may not be able to continue after facing someone as dangerous as Joshua. This fight isn't just another event. It could be the turning point for Jake's entire career.
Against Jake Paul. And Joshua's like, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. There is no reason for him to not take this match. I cannot be and am not mad at Francis. I can't be. Like rules would preclude me from being upset with Francis. I'm not a big Francis fan. Francis fan. I'm not a Francis supporter. So I want to hurt Francis. I want to do something to hurt him. Well, his own actions took $10 million out of his bank account, of which, by the way, could use $10 million. So I can't be mad at him.
One that size alone isn't the real issue. Experience, discipline, and ability are. And in all those areas, Joshua still stands far ahead of Jake Paul. This fight is capturing everyone's attention because it may be one of the biggest mismatches in recent boxing history. Jake Paul may be younger, but that alone doesn't bridge the massive gap in skill, strategy, and ring intelligence. The fight will be entertaining, and it will draw millions of viewers. But in terms of preparation, strength, and technique, Anthony Joshua is on another level. Jake Paul has built a career through fame, promotion, and selective matchups. But this challenge is different. This one is real. Analysts believe this is Jake's chance to prove himself or be exposed. It's a test of whether he belongs in real professional boxing. And that's the breakdown for today's video. Stay tuned, subscribe to Bloodline Boxing, and don't miss what happens next.